One Friday night, Jack gave his wife a choice, him or the reckless nightlife that's pulling her away. Wife chose the nightlife, the friends, the thrill. By the time she stepped out of the club, her marriage, her reputation, and her future had all unraveled, leaving her staring at one word taped over their wedding photo: liar. It was 9 o'clock in the evening when Jack Mercer finally stood up from the living room couch and climbed the stairs to the bedroom. He'd been sitting there for over an hour, alone, thinking. His hands were clenched, his jaw tight. The soft laughter from upstairs only made it worse. Before I share what came next, the choices I made, the truths I uncovered, I want to know where you're watching from. Please, hit subscribe and leave a comment with your city. Your stories, your voices, they matter. And if you've ever felt trapped in a love that turned into something else entirely, maybe my story will feel familiar. In their room, Lila, his 26-year-old wife, was getting ready for another night out with her friends. He paused at the doorway and watched. She stood in front of the mirror in a sky-blue lingerie set he'd never seen before, delicate, revealing, barely there. A tiny dress lay across the bed. He said nothing for a moment. Then finally, in a quiet, steady voice, "I haven't seen these before." Lila turned, startled. She gave him a small, awkward smile, brushing her hair behind her ear. "Oh, I bought them this week." Jack walked past her without another word. He went into the bathroom, opened the laundry basket, and pulled out something, a plain set of old underwear. Worn, simple, nothing seductive about it. He returned and stood in the doorway, holding them up in one hand, the other gesturing toward her new outfit. "So tell me, Lila, this is what your husband gets." He raised the plain set slightly. "And this," he pointed to the lacy lingerie clinging to her body, "is for strangers?" Her expression shifted. She crossed her arms but didn't respond. Jack wasn't yelling. He never did. But his voice was sharp, almost cold. "You expect me to believe this is just a normal girl's night out? That this isn't about someone else?" Lila scoffed. "Are you serious?" "Jack, come on. You're not really accusing me of cheating, are you?" "You're dressed like you're trying to turn heads," he said calmly. "Not like a woman grabbing drinks with friends." She narrowed her eyes. "So now I can't wear what I like without being accused of something?" Jack didn't answer that. He took a breath, looked her straight in the eyes. "When you go out, do you dance with other men? Do they touch you? Kiss your cheek? Whisper in your ear?" "No," she snapped. "What kind of question is that?" "It's the kind of question a husband asks when he knows more than you think." She froze for a second. "I know Gail's divorced. Zoe too. And the last one, Rachel, she left her fiancé last month. These aren't just innocent girls' nights. They're out there looking, and they want you dragged into it." "How dare you judge them like that?" Lila shot back. Jack remained calm. "I'm not judging them. I'm saying their lives are their choice. But so is yours." There was a pause. A long one. Lila's tone softened, but her suspicion didn't. "So you're telling me not to go?" "No," Jack replied. "I'm saying that as a married woman, going to clubs dressed like that, surrounded by people who are out hunting, that's not the life I imagined for us." She scoffed again and rolled her eyes. "So now you're insecure? Is that it?" "No," he said. "I'm worried. You're beautiful, Lila. You go out late, dressed like this, with single women I don't trust. And then you expect me to sit here quietly every Friday night." He raised a hand to stop her from speaking again. "This isn't about control. It's about respect." "Well, it's too late now," she said, turning back to the mirror. "I told them I'd meet them at 10. You're just trying to make me late." She continued, doing her makeup as if nothing was wrong. Jack took a step closer. "One last effort. You promised to respect me when you married me. But lately, it feels like your friends matter more than your husband." She turned back to face him, her voice sharp. "What the hell is wrong with you? Why don't you trust me?" "I want to," he said. "God knows I do. But trust doesn't survive in the dark. And every Friday night feels darker than the one before." "You're imagining things," she said quickly. "I just go for drinks. That's it." Last week, Gail posted about kissing two guys. She even tagged the location. "You were there, Lila." She had no reply for that. She just stared at him. "You're not Gail," he said. "But if you keep following her into that world, how long before you become her?" Still, she didn't answer. "If you want to dance," Jack said finally, "ask me to come with you. But if what you really want is to be seen, to be touched, to be wanted by strangers, then say it. Be honest." Don't lie to me while you paint your face for someone else. Her voice broke into fury. You're being insulting. I'm being real. You haven't cheated. I believe that. But this is where it starts. And I won't be a fool watching it happen. There was silence, the kind that hangs in the air and smothers everything. Then Jack spoke again, quieter now, but firmer than before. Go if you want. Dance all night. Flirt if it makes you feel alive. But I won't be here waiting when you come back. She looked at him in disbelief. You're joking. No, he said. You choose. Me or them. She clenched her fists, her eyes flashing. You're being manipulative. I'm setting boundaries, he said flatly. I've spent every Friday sitting in silence, wondering if tonight's the night things go too far. I can't live like that. He turned to the door. I'll be downstairs. Let me know what matters more, this marriage or the attention. He walked out without another word. Lila sat down slowly in front of the mirror, staring at her own reflection. Her hands were trembling. She hadn't crossed the line, not really. But she'd come close. Last Friday, a man at the club had danced with her a little too long, whispered something into her ear. She hadn't stopped him. She hadn't encouraged him either. But part of her had liked it. Not the man, he meant nothing. But the feeling of being wanted, desired. Not like Jack's compliments, sweet and familiar, but raw desire. Hungry eyes. The kind of attention that made her feel powerful, not just loved. She had never cheated, but she couldn't deny that part of her had flirted with the idea. And now Jack knew. Or at least, he felt it. She looked back down at the dress, then at the door. Jack hadn't yelled. He hadn't begged. He had simply told the truth. And it cut deeper than any fight they'd ever had. Follow and share for the next part. Part 2. Jack Mercer sat at the dining table, his laptop open in front of him. The screen glowed in the dark room as he quietly filled out an online form. He wasn't rushing. He wasn't hesitating either. The clock in the corner read 9:56 p.m. when Lila finally came downstairs. He didn't look up right away, but he heard the heels. Sharp, confident, cold. When he raised his eyes, there she was, standing in the hallway, dressed to kill. Her long legs led into a tight, sky-blue dress that clung to her body like it was made for this moment. Her makeup was flawless, hair curled just right, perfume trailing behind her like a signal flare. Jack stared at her for only a second, then went back to typing. He didn't ask if she'd changed her mind. He didn't need to. The look on her face gave it away. She had made her choice. Still, she hesitated in the doorway, holding her clutch in both hands. I'm leaving, she said softly. We can talk tomorrow. Jack didn't say a word. He didn't even look at her. He just gave a slow shake of his head and returned to his screen. The silence was louder than a scream. Lila stood there a moment longer, confused, maybe even scared. Was he bluffing? Was he trying to guilt her? He didn't flinch. Eventually, she turned and walked out the door. Jack didn't hear it close. A few minutes later, he clicked send on the email he'd been preparing. Then he stood up, walked upstairs, and opened the closet. He pulled out a suitcase. Then another. He didn't rush. He folded his clothes the same way he had when they first moved in together. Tucked his passport into the inside pocket of his carry-on. Took his watch, shaving kit, and laptop bag. This wasn't anger. This was clarity. On Monday morning, he would tell his boss he'd accepted the Dubai offer, a job he had quietly been considering for weeks. Tonight had only made the decision easier. He picked up his phone and tapped out a message to Lila's family group chat. Hello, everyone. I'm sorry you're finding out like this, but it's clear to me now that Lila needs more variety and excitement than I can offer. I've sent her the divorce agreement link via email. It's been an honor to be part of this family, but I hope you'll understand why. From this point on, I'll no longer stay in contact with any of you. Jack. Then, he walked over to the printer, tore out a sheet of paper, and grabbed a marker. He stood in front of their wedding photo above the fireplace, looking at it for the last time. Then he taped the paper over it and stepped back. The black ink on the white page read only one word. Liar. He turned off his phone, grabbed his bags, and walked out to wait for the taxi. Across the city, Lila was seated at a dimly lit table in a noisy club. Gail was talking about some guy from last weekend, her usual laugh echoing through the music. Lila barely heard her. Her phone vibrated. She sighed. If this is Jack begging me to come home, I swear. But it wasn't Jack. It was Karen, her older sister. She frowned and answered. Hello. Karen's voice was sharp. Where the hell are you disappearing to? I'm at the club. With my friends. Lila answered, suddenly defensive. Does Jack know? Yeah, he knows. What's the big deal? And was he happy about it? Karen snapped. Lila exhaled, already annoyed. No, of course he wasn't. But I told him we'd talk tomorrow. Karen's next words cut through the noise like a knife. You won't get the chance. He left you, Lila. If you don't believe me, check your damn email. Lila froze. Gail noticed the sudden change in her. What's wrong? She asked. But Lila didn't answer. Her hands were shaking as she opened her email app. There it was. An email from Jack. She didn't even open it before her face turned pale. She saw the family message too. Everything hit her at once. Then her phone rang again. This time, she didn't say a word when she saw the caller ID. Dad, she whispered. She picked up. His voice thundered through the line. What the hell did you say to Jack? Dad, I just needed a night out. Just one night to breathe. You're in a nightclub, dressed like that, and your husband just left you. It's not like that, she tried. This man loved you, treated you like a queen, and you wanted more? For what? To feel sexy in front of strangers. Dad, please. No, don't dad me. He warned you. He told you how much this hurt him. You ignored him. I didn't cheat. You didn't have to. You broke something anyway. And then, without another word, he hung up. Lila dropped her phone into her purse and stood up. She didn't even tell Gail she was leaving. Didn't notice the other two friends standing near the entrance. She pushed past them and rushed outside, waving down the first taxi she saw. 15 minutes later, she was back home. The house looked abandoned. She ran upstairs. His side of the closet, empty. His drawers, cleaned out. She turned to the bathroom. No razor. No shaving cream. No toothbrush. She bolted back downstairs. His phone gone. Laptop gone. Wallet gone. She ran upstairs again and checked the drawer where they kept travel documents. His passport was gone too. She stood in the hallway, heart pounding, stomach tight. He'd meant what he said. No bluffing. No drama. No games. He gave her a choice. She made it. And now, he was gone. Jack had always been clear. He hated dishonesty. Years ago, a girl had lied to him, broken his trust. He'd said it once. If you ever break something between us, don't expect me to fix it. Now she understood what that meant. She walked downstairs like a ghost, her heels echoing across the wooden floor. Then she saw it, the photo above the fireplace. Something was taped over it. She stepped closer, and her heart nearly stopped. It wasn't their wedding photo anymore. It was a screenshot from someone's social media post. A man proposing in the foreground, and in the background, her, kissing some guy at the club, his hands all over her. The image wasn't recent, but it was real. And now, it was permanent. At the bottom of the photo, Jack had written in big black letters. Liar. Lila stumbled back, hand over her mouth, stomach twisting. She almost threw up. Her knees buckled slightly as the full weight of what had happened sank in. She wasn't just embarrassed. She was ruined. An hour ago, she was married. Now she was alone. Months passed. Jack built a new life in Dubai. He worked hard, stayed out of trouble, met new people, learned to trust again. Eventually, he met someone, an Australian woman named Claire. She was kind, calm, and loved the outdoors as much as he did. They went kayaking together, talked for hours. She listened, really listened. He didn't plan to fall in love again, but it happened, and he never looked back. Lila, on the other hand, spiraled. The attention she once craved faded. One by one, her friends stopped inviting her out. The thrill was gone. 6 months later, she discovered she was pregnant. Then, a few weeks after that, she wasn't. The doctor called it a miscarriage. But something in her changed that day. She sat alone in the same quiet house Jack had left. No laughter, no footsteps, no perfume or jazz music in the background. Just her, a photo, a word in black ink, and silence.